Few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And I'm John.
I'm Matt Hagan.
And the last time we left the Bears, nothing really happened. No comments. So.
Well, John doesn't like to say his last name for some reason, and I noticed it's not on his screen either. What's with the secrecy, John?
Oh, I'm John Nemitz.
Oh.
Not to be confused with Nimitz.
Is there a Nimitz out there?
Yeah, there's like a class of aircraft carrier, the Nimitz class. There was a famous admiral.
Oh my gosh!
Prior to that.
Oh Jesus Christ! Not a lot of clouds out there, guys. I'll say that. Hagen's
a name. It's around somewhere, but no, there's not a lot of Hagens that I know of. But it's very, very German. Very German.
What about Haagen-Dazs?
That's two A's.
I find you.
I thought that was an A with an umlaut.
Is that what the thing is called? I didn't know that was what it was called. See, you've learned something on the podcast too.
Yeah.
Hey, I had pumpkin pie during Thanksgiving, and it was even worse than I remembered, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh.
But I also had some cherry pie. It was like a spiced cherry. It wasn't like cherry that came out of a can. And that was good. That was good. So I'm going to take it back on all pies, but pumpkin pie is disgusting.
Hashtag not all pies.
Not all pies.
Hashtag what about cream pies? All right, go on.
I had a pumpkin cheesecake and it was quite good.
I fucking love cheesecake. God damn, I want to try that.
Is that your topic this week? You can switch. You can pull a pivot card.
No, it's utter chaos.
I would never.
All right, well, let's get it started. The premise is that we're three different sort of bears. I'm more of a grizzly. John's more of a black. I assigned you a bear already. I'm sorry, John. And Matt,
okay.
You're like a polar bear, man.
I was going to say polar bear because I'm very, very white.
Now I'm curious, John. What were you going to say? What bear did you want, babe?
I was going to say that I'm a Goldilock bear.
Oh, I know what I am. I'm a Charmin bear.
Oh no,
John, you want to start? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's a good tee up there, Matt. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I don't know if y'all have seen these commercials. The family of bears that apparently toilet paper is their life, and the father bear in particular seems to have an existential crisis if he's not able to wipe his ass properly, while his son is like waiting outside of the door looking like he's going to piss himself because his dad can't get a good wipe. But you know, there's just something about these bears that they're like, they don't wear clothes, but they need toilet paper, and they like wiggle their butts around in a provocative way, and you just like, so am I just like understanding they have shit all over their fur? Like, is that what's going on? Like, I just find this to be one of the worst things on television these days, and I hate it.
And
there's a lot of them.
I had to Google this because I was going in expecting, okay, I don't watch I don't see a lot of commercials. You know, I watch NFL on Sunday or something like that. But so I was expecting the more hand-drawn style. Like that's what I was used to. That's older. That's probably how many years old. But I was expecting that. So I did a Google search. I found a whole montage of them on YouTube. And then I saw the whole CGI monstrosity you were talking about. But then towards the end, they had the hand-drawn style too. But during my Google search, I also found out like Saturday Night Live did a skit about this just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? That recently, huh? Okay. So At least I'm not alone in finding them notable at the very least, right?
Well, I mean, the one that sticks to me is like, sticks. There was pieces of toilet paper stuck on the son's butt, and the mom was like, "Oh, go back in there," you know. That was gross. Fucking hated that. That was really disturbing. And you know, John, it's funny because before we recorded, you were like, I find it hard to find something to hate. But as soon as you wrote that down in text, I was like, yes, right there.
All right.
Are we
So
all in agreement?
nobody's going to stand up for these bears.
No way, man. I say fuck them. I'm gonna hang up all food in trees so they starve.
Yeah.
They could eat shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with any sort of defense for these bears. I don't know. They're blue. That's different. I can always go for a blue bear.
Or sometimes red. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Aren't
the
they
ones
red
I saw
sometimes?
are mostly blue. John, fix this. What's the right answer here?
Which one? Democrat, Republican, red state, blue state?
Is that what this turned into?
I don't know, like you got me questioning now. I don't know. I think I always just turn away in disgust. So I'm not forming a proper mental image of them.
They're brown bears because they don't wipe properly.
Oh, I thought this was going to turn into what color is the dress? Is it gold or remember that one? Is it blue and whatever? Yeah. And it was clearly something. Now I don't remember.
Oh, was it clearly something?
It wasn't gold. It was the sun, I believe. That's what it was, right?
Correct. So the actual dress was blue and black. The lighting was so saturated that your brain, like some people's brains, saw it as like basically an oversaturated black and blue thing, or they thought it was like a white and gold thing, but in a really dark room. Like, you know, basically your brain would perceive it as one of those two things.
I would rather watch anamorphic dresses sell me toilet paper than those bears. What's that you got on the hem? Shit.
Yeah, these commercials write themselves.
All right, who's got next?
I can jump in. Let's see. John just did a hate. I can do a love. While it's fresh in my mind, I love saving up horror movies for Halloween time, and we are towards the end of November, so I better bring it up while I'm thinking of the horror movies that I like. But it was kind of a disappointing year. I had some disappointing ones. You know, typically I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, just to get a general idea of what I'm interested in or what I'm not. So there was quite a few disappointments, but it's not going to sway me from saving up horror movies for Halloween time. That's just my thing. I will put them on the back burner and I'll just do a whole bunch around October. I don't know. I like doing it, but two that I really, really like this year. Okay. Loved. It is a love topic, not a really, really like. I saw High West. I saw X. X is sort of a new age slasher movie, and in my opinion, probably the best slasher movie I've ever seen. And then there's a sequel to it. I don't know if they came out in the same year or not exactly, but the sequel to it is called Pearl. Totally different tone. It's more of a drama, just a straight up drama with sort of a dark tone. It's about a isolated farm girl who goes pretty psychotic. And yeah, I highly recommend both of those. We are living in an age of elevated horror movies, and both of those really, really impressed me. I don't know if you guys seen either of those.
So I watched Pearl based on your recommendations, just, you know, for this. I wasn't able to get a hold of X during this time, but And then after watching Pearl, which I really enjoyed, I then noticed that it was somehow related to X, which I didn't know prior. But I didn't feel like there was anything I needed to know to understand what was happening. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Definitely. They stand on their own. Both of them.
No, I thought, I mean, just for the scene during the closing credits, it made it all worth it watching it.
That was creepy as hell. Not going to spoil it. That was good.
I'm a little confused though. I need to jump in real quick because isn't the actress the same in X, but she plays a different character, right? In Pearl?
She plays, okay, so in X, she plays the main hero. Well, it's part of a group, and then, you know, I shouldn't spoil anything, but she's kind of the main character. She's, you know, she's a 20-something age. And in Pearl, she plays the serial killer of X. So, and actually, I didn't know this at all. So actually, I think if you go back, like she plays the serial killer in X. So she's like this old woman in this ridiculous makeup, and she plays two characters in X. And then she plays the younger version of that serial killer in Pearl as well. So that's I'm blanking on her name even right now. But yes,
something goth.
Right. Yeah, something goth.
Maya Goth.
Maya Goth. There you go. So yes. And this director, Ty West, there was a really highly rated movie that came out a number of years ago called The House of the Devil, which I was not a fan of. And I even saw it twice because people are so in love with this movie. And I saw it twice and I just did not get it. So when I saw Ty West come up, I didn't know what to expect exactly, but it got really high reviews and gave it a try and loved them. So.
Now, I'm surprised to hear you like this so much because last week you were saying that women can't be serial killers. So.
Did I say that?
It was something like that.
Run the clip. And now we're back.
You know, that's true though. You don't see a lot of female serial killers.
Well, you're a man, and maybe you prefer your serial killers to be males, and you kind of
block it out.
Yeah, like you can better relate to the way that men approach mass murder.
Yes, I understand male angst. I agree.
You could walk up and ask any woman, "Hey, name 10 female serial killers," and they'll do it. I'm sure. We just don't know about them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We should get a woman. We should get a woman guest on this podcast so we can ask all these questions.
Yes, I
but unfortunately, we don't know any women. So
willing to speak on such a thing, I would imagine. You guys are both married, but I imagine they have terrible stage fright.
Terrible stage
yes,
fright.
my wife would not so much as want me to acknowledge her existence in the room if she happened to be here.
Matt, what about Amy?
She's not that bad. She's
Oh, I think I know what's happening. You're afraid you're going to get upstaged by Amy.
Not at all. Not at all. Sorry, Amy. No, actually, Amy did ask me at one point, "Are you ever going to ask me to be a guest on the podcast?" And I flat out told her no and spit in her face. But I mean, if we need somebody, that is a direction we could go. Might have to liquor her up a little bit before we get on so she's loose, but
all right. Well, I think we exhausted that topic. I'm next. I will go. I will start with something a little more breezy. I'm not ready to get into my hate quite yet. So let's talk about it's kind of a twofer in a way. Avatar 2, The Way of Water is finally, the trailer's finally out and stuff like that. But this is an indifference to me. And also special effects are an indifference to me. It can be great looking, but the story can suck, which is kind of how I felt about Avatar 1. Or it could look like shit, but the story's good. I won't care. I will get into it. You know what I'm saying? Because people, people say like, oh, what the fuck, claymation, King Kong. I'm like, so yeah. I mean, we have advanced since then. But yeah, I just want to know how you guys feel about Avatar 2 and special effects in general, I suppose.
So I remember coming out of Avatar 1 and being like, that looked really cool. And then I was like, I wish they would make just like a nature documentary that takes place on that planet. And like I didn't want any narrative or anything. I just wanted them to explain like how all the animals and plants and stuff interact with each other, and like, just kind of like a hard sci-fi kind of thing. I never saw it again after the first time seeing it in the theater. And yeah, I was pretty indifferent to it. And similarly, I'm indifferent to the next one coming out. Like I'll probably see it, but not like super hyped for it or anything like that.
Well, I don't understand why movies have to cost $400 million to make or whatever they cost. I don't see. I'm not. Well, I mean, we talked about Marvel movies last week. I mean, we're not. None of us are terribly impressed with the special effects these days. I don't know how anybody could be terribly impressed with special effects these days, because there's so much CGI. I mean, it's the same thing with the video game industry. I mean, like, how good do your graphics have to be? I mean, comes down to gameplay these days more than graphics. It has to. And anybody with a sane brain, I think, would agree with that. So special effects and all these techniques that James Cameron's developing and whatever, I really don't care. Make a good movie. And I did like the first one. Thought it was good. I've only seen it once. But why did it take so long to get the second one made? I don't know. I haven't done any reading on this, but it seems like James Cameron, who is a pretty, what do I want to call him? He's a
Pretty boy.
Yeah, pretty boy. He is a revolutionary director, and it seems like he's been stuck in this Avatar world for 20 years, and it feels like he could have been doing so much more. But I'll see the second one. I don't know if I'm going to see it in theaters. Probably not, but I'll see it eventually.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned theaters, like isn't that kind of the point of all these special effects things? Is that's like the one thing that people like, oh, well, I need to see this on the IMAX screen, with the chair shaking and the, spraying water in my face and stuff, or whatever happens in movies these days. But then with COVID and then everything going, like a lot of stuff going straight to streaming and everything, they still do the huge special effects budgets. So it makes even less sense to me now.
Yeah, and what a gamble, because it's not just 2. Like, he's already got 3 and 4 in the chamber or something like that, and working on 5 right now or something like that.
What?
Yeah, it's nuts.
My God. Yeah, that's a huge gamble. I mean, again, the $400-500 million budget. Well, I mean, if you make them all back to back to back, maybe that can kind of compress the budget somewhat. But that seems pretty absurd to me. I just don't know. And again, it's like 10 or 12 years after the first one, so I don't understand the logic behind all of this.
Do you guys remember, real quick before we move on to John's whatever, people were leaving the theaters and almost suicidal because they didn't want to leave that world. They were so convinced of the reality of, yeah.
I don't remember hearing that at the time, but other podcast I was listening to just brought that up again a little bit ago, and I was like, "What, really? Want to be in that world that bad.
So couldn't you make like a MMORPG or something based on? I mean, the graphics aren't going to be the same exactly if you're playing a video game, but isn't there a huge opportunity to make a big immersive video game in this world?
Oh, you're talking Ready Player One, or what are you saying?
I'm
No
talking
more World of Warcraft. I'll do my love, which is the television show Futurama. It's probably that I've rewatched more of the episodes more times than any other show. I know everyone's only supposed to like the original run, and the later seasons are lame, but I love them all. And like I've definitely seen the original run more times than the more recent ones, and like the made-for-TV movies and all that. But I don't know. I just love like some of the sci-fi concepts they tackle, and it's always like the jokes are the most important thing over everything else. Like they're not like trying to be so serious about it that like they won't try to get a laugh where they can. And I don't know. Are you guys fans of the show, or watched it at all? Or
I'm a huge fan. I was going to say about taking it serious. Well, they have some serious emotional scenes, especially with Fry and his family, his dog, and his pining over Leela and stuff, and even Leela and her parents. So yeah, they don't really shy away from that sort of stuff. I'm always caught off guard because I'm like laughing, and then the next episode comes on, I'm like, oh God, this one, yeah. But like in a good way. Oh God.
Oh God.
So I've seen, I like Futurama. It's a good show. I've seen probably the first couple seasons multiple times, and wasn't a big fan of the movies. The first one, I'm forgetting names. I probably could have done some research. Sorry, but the first one I liked, and the other they kind of slowly got worse to me. But yeah, I mean, it is taking on. I mean, Vince's point there. Yes, the emotions with the comedy, great combo. I mean, it's very Simpsons-y. I mean, I love The Simpsons and Matt Groening. I mean, this was a takeoff right on The Simpsons, and it's got to be the only show that has actually made me cry. The episode with Fry's dog waiting for him outside the pizzeria. I mean, I think that gets everybody. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing to anybody on that show. But I mean, it's so quotable though too. Bite my shiny metal ass and good news, everyone. And so many more. But yes,
and there's just like the really stupid jokes that like have nothing to do with anything. Like on a milk carton, instead of half and half, it's third and third and third.
I mean,
that has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. But I just always think about that if I ever see like half and half at the store. Yeah. And I always tell her, my wife, who will remain nameless, that
my wife
should pick up that third and third and third.
There's also
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You
All My Circuits. That just the little soap operas that they watch. Real quick, Calculon.
The scary door stuff.
Yes, but Calculon has one of the funniest things because it's like I could relate it to my own story or whatever, where he's on a show and they're like, show that clip, Calculon, and he's like screams out, he's like, no, like that, really dramatic. And then afterwards, like funny enough, the line required me to say yes. And I don't know, I was in a play and the line was to say yes, and there was 3 showings. One was for the middle schoolers at the beginning, and I improv'd no, got a big laugh, but the teacher didn't really necessarily like it, the director. So I said yes the second time, but then the last show I was like, I'm gonna fucking rock these motherfuckers with a no. And again, it got a great laugh. So yeah, that's why.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's a really funny show and it's really sharp, but I don't find myself laughing throughout most of the time. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that's kind of the same way with Simpsons too. Like, it's not just laugh out loud funny all the time, but it's so packed with jokes. I don't know. Is it kind of exhausting in a way, just how many jokes are thrown at you? Maybe my brain isn't working that fast. I don't know. Anybody else find it exhausting, sort of?
No, not at all.
No, but I've just seen him so many times that I just like know what's going to come next, and like I'm ready for it, you know.
One of my favorite ones, real quick, is 300 Big Ones, the one where they all have $300 to spend.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And Fry with his, I think it's like 100 cups of coffee, right? It is so jittery, and then at the end, he like
slows time.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my god, I love that one.
Yes, good stuff. Good
wow,
stuff.
You know
all
what?
Hail Hypnotoad.
Yes. All right.
I've also listened to the audio commentary on all of those, and the Hypnotoad noise was just, it was called like Angry Machine noise or something like that they were just using as like a placeholder until they figured out what they really wanted it to be. And then they just like kept that in there.
That's awesome. Oh my
It
gosh.
works. It's easier.
Wow. I think we're for the most part, we're not clashing at all on any of these subjects. Maybe it's time to change it up. Who's next? Matt.
Yeah, Matt, what kind of controversial opinions you got for us?
Well, let me say that I hate soccer, football Americano, and that's probably not controversial with this group. It might be controversial worldwide. I don't understand the game of soccer. I don't understand the appeal of 1-0 games and 0-0 ties and all these arbitrary rules and this gigantic field, and it's so boring. Does anybody else?
Do you like hockey?
I never really got into hockey, but I like hockey more than soccer for sure.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm definitely. Go ahead.
I just said, do you like badminton? Nope.
Love it. I'm definitely not into soccer, but I do enjoy following the World Cup.
Aha!
Mainly because
gotcha.
I work with people from all over the world, so it's like a thing you can talk about like with everyone, and like everyone from other country gets into it way more than we do here. Mm-hmm. And I actually have been having it kind of just on in the background while the World Cup has been going on, and paying, you know, when the announcers get excited, I'll like look up at the TV and then see nothing happen.
Like, oh, I don't understand that. But I'm glad you brought up the World Cup, because I'm comboing today. I've broken all the rules of this podcast. My indifference is the World Cup. I'm doubling up.
Snap.
Oh, yeah, snap. I don't understand the appeal of this. And there's so much controversy going on this year. Is there always this much controversy with the World Cup? But no, I mean, it's in Qatar. And
yeah, I mean, FIFA is like a known corrupt organization. And while like a normal person might see like, why are we going to this place with all these human rights violations? But I think they like hosting it in a dictatorship, because like the dictator can just be like, oh yeah, go build that stadium. Whereas like if you're in a democracy, you have to like deal with like city councils and like all this BS that they don't want to deal with. Yeah, like it's definitely problematic in like those areas for sure.
Is there real backlash to this? Like, are these FIFA assholes getting super rich and nobody's doing it? Is there no oversight to any of this? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to be doing fine.
Well, I just hear all this stuff like Qatar, like the billions and billions of dollars they spent on infrastructure, and they still don't have enough infrastructure. And and hundreds of lives lost building these stadiums and getting the infrastructure in place. And oh, it just seems like a gigantic mess. And then you talk about all the politics involved in it too. The no alcohol, no rainbow flags, no this, no that. I mean, I just don't understand it. Make me understand.
Well, okay, but you said FIFA is corrupt. Like, what do you mean? Like, how? Like, what do they do?
Like I'm sure. I shouldn't say because I don't know any of the specific things. It's just something I always hear about, like them talking about the corruption of the organization.
Okay.
It's like, how did Qatar get selected? Like, there's a big question about that.
Exactly. I mean, it's billions in oil money and millions going to certain people that can make decisions or push people to make decisions. I mean, I don't see any other way this would have happened.
Why is it that we're the only ones that don't get into this? Why is it that America the Beautiful can't stand soccer?
It's a great question.
I mean, they're not. Okay, I'm gonna play the other side and say, here we don't want to show soccer on TV because there's no commercials. Like you pretty much watch the entire first half, and there's no commercials the entire time. Then there's halftime, and you can show commercials, and then the entire second half straight through. So the companies here, I imagine, if you're broadcasting, you can like with an NFL game, what percentage of the time is like actual gameplay versus commercials and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, America does have the MLS, their actual league, and I imagine that's broadcast. I've never seen it myself, so I think there's a way to throw commercial timeout or TV timeouts in there and make everybody happy, but I don't know.
So it's not because we don't watch it enough. I mean, how long I guess no one else in the world, they would get into football, right? Or our football.
Yeah, I think there's a direct correlation going on there. Like football is gigantic in our country, and soccer is the complete opposite, where the NFL is trying to expand to Europe right now. They're playing games in Europe every single year, but I mean, football has not caught on at all. I mean, in Canada, it's caught on a little bit, but hockey's king in Canada, and Europe, you're never going to topple soccer. I don't know. It's a pretty good question. And I'm just going to say it's boring as hell and leave it there.
Probably didn't help that we called it football. You know what I mean? And we call that soccer. Like, the arrogance of America the Beautiful. And just.
Yeah.
And free.
Although I do find it really pretentious when you say like, oh yeah, I was watching the soccer game, and then they're like, oh, you mean football?
Uh-huh.
Like, no, I said what I meant.
I said what I said.
I remember I was like, oh, this soccer match is cool. And it, clearly in America, but an American was like, that's rugby. Fucking idiot. It looked the same to me.
That's Vince's perspective on this whole thing right there. I've never looked into what the story of calling football is. American football. How do they come up with football? Is it just stealing from the worldwide game? I don't know. But there's got to be a story there. Help me, internet.
You only use your foot once. It's for the kicker, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, wasn't there a sketch somewhere where they called it like hand egg or something like that?
That sounds familiar.
I want to say it's like Tim and Eric or something like that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
All right, next. Who do we got? Is it me? I'll go.
It's you.
All right, I'm going to talk about my lovely love. I get a big kick out of watching FailArmy videos online. I think they're mostly on YouTube, but they're basically America's Funniest Home Videos. You know, people recording themselves falling down, doing silly crap.
Except without being graced by the genius of Bob Saget.
Yes, I was just about to get there. And
I'm sorry.
But instead they get Tom Bergeron, so it's okay. It's okay. But no, like the big thing though, it's funny to see people fall down, but the difference is it's not America's Funniest Home Videos, it's international. So you see people from all around this wonderful world, Earth the Beautiful. And what's so good and unifying about it is that everyone's acting like a dumb shit. And in all languages, they'll translate it, and it's the same thing. Like some people in Africa are like, oh, that shit was tight, bro. And the same thing they'll be saying in Australia or in Taiwan. You know what I mean? We're all the same. I thought it was one of the great anti-xenophobic moments. You know, like even I am kind of like, New Zealand, you know, for no reason.
What's wrong with Old Zealand?
Yeah. Push them down the stairs. But yeah, I don't know. It's really it warms my heart because I'm giggling and laughing, but just to see everybody act like morons and they all talk the same, it's really cool. I like it a lot.
I like your perspective on that. I had to look up FailArmy. I didn't know what that was, and then
same.
All those stupid videos all conglomerated together in one video. Awesome. And I kind of got into it, get some laughs. I wanted to take it in the America's Funniest Home Videos direction too, and I thought that show was gone forever. And just randomly, it must have been Sunday night or something like that, I turned on TV while I was putting laundry away, and Alfonso Ribeiro is hosting America's Funniest Home Videos. I forget what channel it was on.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know that was a thing, but it's still going on. I wonder if you still have to turn in VHS videos or mail them in or whatever. That would be funny.
Is it just portrait mode videos?
I didn't keep it on long enough to even see any videos. Alfonso Ribeiro was talking for about 2 minutes, and then I turned it off.
Well, yeah.
I enjoy that sort of humor as well. I mean, it's like watching Jackass or something. It's good for your soul, you know?
Oh, there we go. John?
I feel like I've heard the name, but never paid any attention to it. And I looked it up and I was like, I don't need to watch people getting hurt today. And then I was like, I get the idea of what this is.
It's more than that. Although the only thing that I criticize it for is sometimes they'll throw in natural disasters. And I'm like, that's not a fail. That's Mother Nature. Like someone's house is being destroyed right now.
And then they show like FEMA failing to like get the crews out there in a timely manner.
Wah, wah, wah. I mean, there's one thing if it's a video of a house being washed away, but it's another thing if you didn't heed warnings and get the hell out of the way in time. So if you're in the way of a freaking hurricane, that's your own fault.
Florida. Actually, you know what? The more I think about it, it is proper as a fail because that's global warming, and that's humans' biggest fail right there. So yeah.
Wow.
Figured it out.
How poignant. That feels like a whole nother topic for a whole nother episode.
That'll be your indifference.
I'm indifferent to
Right.
Guys, I hate global warming.
Like, like in this show, like I'm like, how virtual signaling can I be with my choices? Like, you guys, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I hate racism. I love my grandma.
Your grandma was cool.
You know, the FailArmy thing, that could be considered like I hate racism in a way, right? because I was like, everyone from everywhere, we're all the same. So yeah.
The way you describe it, yeah, but I never want to come to that conclusion.
All right.
I like that perspective. I like that perspective. Let's all get together and do stupid shit.
Oh my God. Who's next?
John.
Back to me again. All right. Mine, indifferent or ambivalent, is what do you do when like there's words that are supposed to be pronounced one way, but you know the correct way to pronounce them, but then like you look like a jerk if you call it the right way.
Get out of my brain, John. This was going to be one of my topics. Damn.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So like, you know, like the frozen fruity dessert sherbet, for example, or betta fish, or, you know, if you say like, this thing is not my fort, like technically those are how all those words are spelled and like should be pronounced, but obviously nobody, like that's not the general usage. So, you know, I just personally find myself just calling them by the way that it's commonly used, and then feeling like I'm giving into peer pressure and hating myself a little bit.
For me, it's vase and vase.
A good one.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. But it's even beyond that. Simple little things. Assless chaps. Motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
So it's those little things, but yeah, it's just something that you have to endure in this world. Because like no one's ever going to start saying, hey, we were all wrong. It's vase. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm wearing
there's-
ass full chaps right now. So
That one is there a right or wrong to vase or vase though? I think there's some that are just straight up 50-50.
Well, interesting enough, the Moog synthesizer was
Moog.
invented.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Hold on, though. This is it, though. It was invented by Moog, but people pronounced it the wrong way, and he's like, I don't care. He's like, let him pronounce whatever, as long as they buy my shit, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mount Everest, the guy was called Everest, I believe.
Wow.
And actually funny, I wasn't even thinking of this with the topic, and this probably says a lot actually. You're talking about I don't say my last name on here. So my parents pronounce my last name Nemitz, and I got to high school and everyone started saying Nemitz, and I was like, I do not want to correct people for the rest of my life. So I'm just like, I'm Nemitz now.
So you
To the
are
point where,
you are a Nemitz?
well, at this point, I've been a Nemitz longer, but and like my wife only knew
My
Nemitz,
wife.
and like
I was thinking of doing
And
that,
then-
but I'm like, no.
too easy. When she visited my parents, I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, everyone in my family pronounces our last name differently than I do.
That's great. Oh, by the way, guys, it's Clued. So Vince and
Oh.
Clued. Yeah.
Claude.
Claude. Oh, that's so much better. Claude.
I was kind of going to take it in some other directions too, like certain phrases, like you've got to shore that up. So many people say you got to sure that up, or I've heard it as sure that up.
Champing at the bit.
Yes. Now there's another one I was going to say. Now I'm drawing a blank, but yes.
Now I'm drawing a blanc.
Matt LeBlanc.
How you doing? Man.
Joey. How about that, Joey? Boy, I hated that show. That's going to be my hate. Let's talk about it right now.
Hated Friends.
That's an
Or just
indifference
Joey.
for me.
Save it. I'll add it to the top of my hate list. We'll do it.
No, there's John, I was gonna try and make a skit about a guy who just can't leave those little words alone, but everyone comes in and says all the wrong shit and he just finally flips out. But yeah, that's funny. All right, so what do we got? Matt, I think you're cashed out, aren't you?
Yeah, you double dipped.
I set a precedent. Feel free to double dip whenever it makes sense.
All right. Well, I guess it's me.
I guess we have Matt's permission now, so we can do that going
thanks,
forward.
Matt. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm going to go into my hate. My hate is Roger Waters. He's from Pink Floyd, the band, and I almost want to word it like Roger Waters should not sing, but it's deeper than that. He's bad all around, in my opinion. So Pink Floyd, it was started by a guy named Syd Barrett, and all the members were, just supporting him. Syd Barrett, however, after their first album, he lost his mind to drugs. So they carried on for 7 years, slowly finding their sound. And then they come up with Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon, of course, is one of the biggest albums of all time. But Roger Waters happened to have written all the lyrics. He sang on the last 2 songs because the whole band would sing. David Gilmour more so because he actually has a decent voice. So after Dark Side of the Moon, they're huge, they're gigantic. Then it's all in Roger Waters' head that he's like, well, I wrote the lyrics. People love me. I'm Pink Floyd, So after that, every album afterwards, he would insist on singing on more and more songs. And believe me when I tell you this, the man cannot sing. He cannot carry a tune. But he was so boorish, I guess. He was such a commanding presence. He would constantly yell. He would always belittle the keyboardist, Richard Wright. And he was a fast writer. So David Gilmour, he was like, hey man, the guy can write songs really quick and we have a deadline. We'll just go with his ideas, right? So this would continue on. And eventually Roger Waters fired the keyboardist. He didn't allow the drummer to write anything or something like that. David Gilmour, he had to fight for every piece of music he could. Like, for example, in The Wall, he wrote everything. Like he wrote the entire album, Roger Waters. But David Gilmour was like, hey, I got this little song called Comfortably Numb. I was thinking about doing something with it. It sounds cool. And Roger Waters, he knew it was good, but he's like, no, this whole album is mine, So they argued for days. And Comfortably Numb is like the most iconic song they've ever made, right? So yeah, I don't know. He's crazy. The album no one talks about is called The Final Cut, and he was the only one. It was basically a solo album because everyone was gone, right? So, and he continues to this day to be a fucking asshole. Okay, so this is the final thing I'll say. In the album Wish You Were Here, there's a song called Have a Cigar. None of the original players actually sing. It's some dude they knew because they were like, we can't get it right, we're perfectionists. So he sings the song for them, and it's a good song, right? Years later, Roger Waters is like, I never should have let him do it. I could sing it. In fact, give me that guitar. I'm going to do it right now. It's on this documentary, right? And he plays it. He sings it as crappily as he always does. And then afterwards, he's like, I should have warmed up first. Otherwise, it would have been good. Motherfucker. Like, God damn it.
So just to help me get my head around it, like, what are some specific songs that exemplify his lack of talent?
I mean, okay, again, he writes them and he performs,
right, no, the one he's singing.
The singing part.
Yeah.
I mean, The Wall. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've never been off put by his singing before. I'm just going to throw that out there. So if you do have examples, I would like to hear them.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is that, yeah, you might, I don't know. It's just the fact that he muscled out David Gilmour. He never let Stephen Wright sing after Dark Side of the Moon. like so that's what I was getting at. It's not just because he can't sing, but it's this other shit that he's done to the band for years and years, made them miserable. But he was a genius, but it went to his head. I'll say, God damn it. There's a song called Dogs on Animals, where every fan cites it as like the best song on the album, but it's 16 minutes long. The first 8 minutes is amazing. It's sung by David Gilmour. The last 8 minutes is Roger Waters. And even the lyrics aren't that great. I don't know. It's just he saw that the song was good. He wanted to sing, so they extended the song to be double. You know what I mean? And he insists on singing the book ends of the albums and shit. I don't know. I can't really point out a horrible performance, but it's just knowing that he's not the best singer, but it didn't matter to him.
Not the best one available. Like if he could put his ego aside, Pink Floyd could have been better, right? I mean,
I think so.
I just wrote down Dogs. I'm gonna have to listen to that. It's been a long time since I've listened to Pink Floyd, or at least an entire album, and I'm not a big Floyd head. But
Animals is such a good album, though.
That's awesome. I like that you listened to that.
Oh yeah.
So you seem to have a lot of background information. Did you read a biography or something, or where'd you get a lot of your info?
I've watched documentaries over the years, yeah, and read little interviews in Rolling Stone and shit like that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like the most research we've ever done on a topic. So congratulations, Vince.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my hate. I think if he could just let his ego by the wayside for a little bit, I think the band would have been in better spirits. I don't know. It's unfortunate, I think.
Well, I thought you were going to talk more about there's I didn't know, like you threw out the topic Roger Waters. I didn't know exactly where you were going with that. So I did a little Wikipedia and such. And there's some controversy in recent years about anti-Semitic remarks, sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to stick to the music, but he's an asshole all around. He is.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what his remarks were exactly, but yeah, he sounds like he's not self-aware at all. That's maybe the best way to describe him.
It's interesting because there's a clip on YouTube, I think, where it's just 16 minutes of Roger Waters yelling at people in the studio because he's a big yeller. He loves to yell at people. And it's so weird because he's like, it's going to be more emotional for fuck's sakes and shit like that.
Vince, I love this new you. Bring it every week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I think, John, you have anything to add? I think we're all out of topics.
I mean, yeah, one thing I'm just noticing is that a lot of the music I listen to and movies I like, and just that the art I consume, I don't know a lot about the individuals behind them. I'm like, I can like an album and listen to it 100 times and know nothing about the band. You know what I mean? And you seem to be much more interested in the lives of the people behind this stuff.
For sure, yeah. Because I'm gonna groupie these motherfuckers. Who are these guys' names?
Home address.
He's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Lick my balls. All right. Well, anyways, I think that's the end. That's all our topics: loves, hates, impartials. And now we're here at the end. Join us next week on A Few Goldilock Bears podcast. Like, subscribe, comment. This was Vincent Cloud.
And I'm John Nemitz.
I'm Matt Hagen.